In this tutorial, we'll explore non-destructive editing. Non-destructive editing allows you to make changes to an image without overriding the original image data, so it remains available in case you want to revert back to it. Because non-destructive editing doesn't remove data from the image quality doesn't degrade when you make the edits, and we are going to perform some non-destructive editing in a few different ways. We'll be making a fun Halloween-inspired design today based off of these two original images, one of a fun little Halloween scene and the Atlantic Ocean. We'll start off with applying a layer mask to the tree layer to hide certain areas of the image, so basically the white background, and we'll put the ocean layered behind the tree layer. We'll convert the ocean layer to a smart filter so that we can apply filters non-destructively and be able to go back and revert and make changes if necessary. Then we'll retouch some unsightly spots on the stones non-destructively using the clone stamp tool. And then we'll apply some adjustment layers to apply some color and tonal adjustments non-destructively to our document. Start by going into the Canvas lab and downloading the file that's named ps-nondestructive.zip, and you'll unzip or extract the files inside. Before we get started, let's make sure that everybody's on the same workspace. In the upper right corner, you'll see choose a workspace, and there's an arrow next to it. I am working in the Essentials workspace. If you do have Essentials checked already, you can tell it to reset Essentials, and it will snap all your panels back into place, and it will also make the tools that I'm using available to you. Now we can open the files that you downloaded from Canvas. If we go up to File, Open, navigate into your Downloads folder and locate the folder that says PS-nondestructive. I'll open up that folder, and we'll start with the tree.jpg file. Click Open. Now we can rename this file and save it to our folders. Let's go up to File, Save As, navigate into your Adobe Design Suite folder, make a new folder titled Lab 11-PS-non-destructive editing. Open up that folder, and we'll change the file type to a Photoshop PSD format. I'll highlight the word tree, and we'll replace it with your last name, -11-PS-non-destructive .psd. Click the Save button. And now we can go to the Layers panel. I see I have one single background locked layer, and we need to unlock this layer. So click on the lock that's in that background layer, and you'll see that it changes the name of that layer from background to layer 0. I'll double click on the word layer 0, and we can rename that layer tree. and save the document. File, save. And now we can open up the other image that was downloaded. Let's go up to File, Open. Navigate back into your Downloads folder, into the folder PS-non-destructive, and locate the file named ocean.jpg and click Open. Make sure you're on your Move tool, V on your keyboard. I'll go up to the Select menu, All. And then I'll go up to the Edit menu and copy that selection. Click back on your Document tab and we'll paste. Edit, Paste. This is warning me that the color profiles don't match and that it will match the document that it's being pasted into. Click OK. Now we can look at our layers panel and see that it renamed this new layer, Layer 1. I'll double click on the word Layer 1 and rename it Ocean. And then I'll drag the ocean layer underneath the tree layer. So we can't see it right now, but we'll transform it in a minute. Let's save the document. Now we're going to make a selection of the white area on the tree layer to remove it. In your Layers panel, make sure you have the tree layer selected. And now we'll select the Magic Wand tool. You can click W on your keyboard, and I can see I have the quick selection in the foreground. So I'm going to click and hold that down and choose the Magic Wand tool. So we'll use the Magic Wand tool to select similarly colored white areas that we can hide non-destructively. Before we do that, let's take a look at the options bar at the top, and I want you to uncheck the box Contiguous because we want to be able to grab all the white areas. They might not be adjacent to each other. So uncheck that box and then set your tolerance to about 35. And I also have my Sample All Layers box unchecked as well. With the tree layer selected, I'm going to click just one time in the white area. And if I zoom in, I can see it did pretty good getting between all of the branches. There's a couple areas that I might need to help it out. I see a spot right here. If I hold my Shift key down, I have a plus sign now next to my magic wand, and I can click in that area and it just added that additional white space. And I see some kind of speckles in some areas inside the image that I don't want to include. So I'm going to switch over to my Quick Selection tool. You can adjust the size of your brush. You can do that up at the top in the options bar if you'd like. And I'm going to subtract some areas that are selected, like right here and inside the bat. So on a PC, I can hold the Alt key down. On a Mac, you hold the Control key, and you should get a minus sign inside of your brush. And I'll just run it over the additional areas that I don't want included. in that selection, and you'll see it start to snap over the areas. It'll recognize what you're trying to select. Use your space bar to help navigate around your page. I've got some areas down on the rocks here. And a little bit on the stem of the pumpkin. Once you have everything inside the image selected, there's probably some areas on the edges of the document that you might need to clean up. So I'll just run my quick selection tool along this edge and get rid of that thumb in the upper right corner. Okay, so this looks like a pretty good selection. Let's go up to the Select menu and choose Inverse. Now we have the opposite of the white selected now. And we'll apply a layer mask to the tree layer based off of this selection that we made. Layer masks allow you to hide or reveal certain areas of a layer non-destructively. So that means that I can bring those areas back later if I want to, or vice versa. At the bottom of the Layers panel, the third icon from the left, you'll see a white rectangle with a circle inside of it. When I hover over it, it says Add Layer Mask. I'll click that one time, and now you'll see that that white is now hidden, and I can see that ocean layer behind it. Also, in my Layers panel, on the tree layer, it added an additional icon. It added the Layer Mask icon. And you'll see that I can switch between the regular layer and the layer mask. Let's save the document. File, Save. And I can zoom in and we can choose to hide additional areas that maybe our selection didn't take care of for us. Like these wires, I can see a little bit of white showing, and I also want to get this stick hidden on the bat. So on the tree layer, make sure you have the layer mask icon selected, and we're going to use our brush tool. B on your keyboard takes you to your brush tool, and when you're working on a layer mask using your brush tool, you work with black and white colors. You'll see the two black and white color thumbnails at the bottom of your toolbar. So black will hide areas. You can see right now I just hid that wire that was there. We can hide the stick at the bottom of the bat. Now if you go too far and hide something you don't want to, at the bottom of your toolbar you can swap the colors using the double-sided arrow. Now white is in the foreground, and I could run it over areas to reveal that area of the image again. So white reveals and black hides, and that's done with your brush tool with the layer mask targeted. So you can work your way around the image and see if there's anything you want to refine and hide or reveal. Make sure we save the document. If you want to adjust the placement of the ocean image, you can target that layer. I'll go to my Move tool, V, and you can click and you can drag to change the position. I kind of like that splash over there. And you can also do a transform if you'd like to scale it. You would go to Edit, Free Transform. The next non-destructive editing that I'd like to apply is using the clone tool to get rid of some of these spots on the rocks. I'm going to make a new layer. So at the bottom of the layers panel, there's a white square with a plus sign in it. That's add a new layer. And I can see it's named layer 1. I can double click on that and I'll rename layer 1 Retouch. And I'll drag the retouch layer all the way to the top of the layer stack. Using our clone stamp tool, S on our keyboard, allows us to take a sample of an area and then kind of paint over the area you want to cover. Up in the options bar, where it says sample, make sure it's set to current and below. So we'll be retouching on this new empty retouch layer so that it's non-destructive. Hold down Alt on a PC, Control on a Mac, and we're going to get rid of these white areas. So I'm going to sample a portion of the rock just to the left of that white spot. So holding down my Alt or Control key, I'll click once and now go over the white spot, and then I can click and drag. I can also do the next spot below. You might need to resample an area, because if you notice that crosshair is where it's sampling the area, and that follows my cursor around. So go ahead and get rid of those couple of spots. Because I put that on its own layer, I can hide the retouch layer. Those are the spots I'm bringing back there. So that is a non-destructive way to use the clone stamp tool and do some retouching. Save the document. File, save. Next, we'll apply a filter to our ocean layer. In your layers panel, select the ocean layer, and you'll notice up in your filter menu at the top, there is a filter gallery. And we can go in there right now and we can look at all the different filters and apply them. But if we were to do it this way, if I clicked OK here, I can see it applied a filter to my ocean layer, but it did it destructively. We want to be able to apply our filters non-destructively so that we can go back in there and change the options or take it off if we want to. So I'll undo that last step by going to Edit, Undo. And this time we'll convert the ocean layer to a smart object or a smart filter. With the ocean layer selected, I'll go up to the filter menu and I'll select Convert for Smart Filters. To enable re-editable smart filters, the selected layer will be converted to a smart object. Smart filter, smart object are basically the same thing. They're preserving the original layer so that you can apply filters non-destructively. I'll click OK. And I can see that the icon on my ocean layer has been changed now to the Smart Object icon. And now when I go back up to the Filter menu, Filter Gallery, I can apply the filters non-destructively. I can click inside this thumbnail preview area. I can move it around so I can position it to wherever I want to see the image. And then I can just simply start clicking through the different filters, and it'll give you a preview of what it looks like. There's additional filters in the folders. If you wanted to layer different filter effects on top of each other, right now in the area in the lower right corner, I can see I have the cutout filter applied. Beneath that, at the bottom, there's a white plus sign, add new effect layer, and now I can apply filters on top of filters. So you can adjust the sliders to your liking, and if I wanted to remove one of these filter layers, I would just target that layer and then click the trash can delete effect layer. When you've chosen the filters you want, you can click the OK button. And now in my layers panel, I can see I have the smart filters and the filter gallery sublayers applied underneath the ocean layer. So that makes it a non-destructive way of adding those filters. Let's save the document, File, Save. Next, we'll apply some adjustment layers to our document. In the middle, on the right side in your panel area, you'll see a tab that says Adjustments. Adjustment layers allow you to apply color and tonal adjustments without permanently changing the pixel values. You can hover over any one of those adjustment options: brightness, contrast, levels, curves, exposure, vibrance, hue, saturation, color balance, black and white, photo filter, channel mixer, color lookup, invert, posterize, threshold, selective color, and gradient map. I'm going to apply a photo filter, and whenever you click one of the adjustment icons, you'll see a properties panel open up. So you can choose what kind of filter. There's warming and cooling filters. You can click inside that color square to open up the color picker for your own color. And then you can adjust the density of it. Right now, if I look at my layers panel, I can see that there's a new adjustment layer added, Photo Filter 1. And it's right now it's currently just above the ocean layer. So it's just applying that adjustment to that layer. If I were to move it to the top, now it's applying that adjustment layer to all the layers. We can add an additional adjustment if you want. That's an invert. If I wanted to remove an adjustment layer, you can do it one way through your properties panel. I can hit the garbage can, and that removes that whole adjustment layer. I think I'll posterize, and I can adjust my levels of posterization. we should save the document. File, Save. And then if you ever needed to go back into your adjustment layers to make changes, you would want to go through the Layers panel. If you tried to go up into the Adjustment panel, it would think that you want to apply another instance of that adjustment. So on this black and white circle, I'll double click in there, and that will open up the corresponding properties. The two double arrows will collapse that panel. Because we've built this non-destructively, we can always go back and make changes. I'm on my Move tool, and I'll select the ocean layer. And I can move it around and maybe reposition where it is. And I kind of like that. And you can always go back into your filter galleries. You can add more filters. Another form of non-destructive editing would be layer style blending effects. On my tree layer, I'll double click in the solid gray area off to the right to open up my layer styles. And I can apply maybe just an outer glow. So I'll click the box and select the word outer glow to get to my options, and maybe adjust the opacity. The spread or the size of it. And you could change any color you want as well. I'll click OK, and now that tree layer has the effects, outer glow, sublayer added to the layers panel. Let's save the document. Looking at the layers panel, I can see that we have our two original images that we used for this design, but we have all of these additional non-destructive layers that we applied as well. We took the ocean layer and converted it to a smart filter and applied a filter from the filter gallery. On the tree image, we applied a layer mask to hide certain areas of the image to let that ocean layer show through. And later we applied a layer style outer glow effect. We non-destructively retouched the tree layer with the clone stamp tool to get out some of those spots. And then we applied adjustment layers, photo filter, posterize, to apply an overall effect that kind of tied the whole design in together. Let's make sure the document is saved, and we'll also export a JPEG. So go up to File, Export, Export As. We can export the format as a JPEG, quality at 100%. Let's scale it down to maybe 50%. And click Export. Navigate back into your Adobe Design Suite folder, into Lab 11, Photoshop Non-Destructive Editing. Keep the name exactly the same. We're just changing the format to a JPEG. Click Save. Now if I opened up that JPEG, File, Open, and I navigate back into folder Lab 11-PS-Non-Destructive Editing, I'll locate the JPEG version of the design and click the Open. Now, looking at my layers panel, it's completely flattened into one single locked background layer. So we will zip both of the PSD and the JPEG files together for submission. Close the documents in Photoshop. And then open your folders in your Finder window on your desktop and locate folder Lab 11, Photoshop Non-Destructive Editing. I'll select both the PSD and the JPEG files, and I can zip those together, zip compress, send to compressed zipped folder, and it should take on the same name that we had the other documents saved as. It just changed the extension to a .zip. So that will be the file that you submit to Canvas. Thank you for watching.